Hello, everyone. That showed up right away. That was fast. Hold on here. You wait. You wait your turn. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another Tuesday night Eventide stream. Tonight's going to be another low-key kind of stream night. Little state of the patron, state of the campaign. It's worth talking about here. I'm not gonna lie, the past month or two has been pretty rough. Between work responsibilities, some home stuff, and just getting the last bits of Hope Finder all wrapped up. I've been busy as hell. Really busy. And as a result, I have not had a lot of time to sink into other projects, Eventide among them. Things are still moving, things are still happening. It's just going at a slow pace right now. And I feel kind of bad about that. Obviously, everybody wants progress, everybody wants to see things move forward. It's an ongoing struggle for me right now. And it's not really going to get better here in the short term. I've got some big things happening. But I'm hoping, I have hope that there is a point here in the near future where some of this resolves. I may, just because I do feel bad about the slow progress, I may pause payment for a month. Just to give you all a break. I'll still do stuff, but I just won't collect payment for a month. Because frankly, the part of the deal here is that you want to see progress, and I want to give you progress. But it's been a little slow going. Again, overtime at work, plus a complicated bit of things here at home, and getting, the last of this Kickstarter out the door has just been a massive time sink. Doesn't help when it's really hot either. Because boy, does that sap my will to do anything creative when it is gross and hot. But, things are getting better. We'll see how it goes. I'm not making any decisions here today. Just chatting with all of you about it, because it is an ongoing struggle for me right now to really make some headway. That said, things are still moving. I have put in a little bit of time over the past week on the adventure. That's getting ever so closer to sending it to my editor, who is waiting patiently now. So the heat is on that front. I just need to make sure I have the time to do it. And frankly, that requires me to finish getting the Hope Finder books out the door first, because they are not late, but they're getting close. I got to get them out here in the next week or so. So I got that going on. Tonight, because at the very least, I want to use this hour as a chance to actually get something done. I'm going to take a look at the Penumbrist and start making some changes to it. And to that end, we're going to do this kind of live dev work. Get to see how class development works. So at the start of this, you can see it. It was over here on the left. Oh, that's kind of weird. Let me, what is going on there? Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Let's go ahead and bring that in a little bit. Bring that in a bit. Okay. So I'll put that over there. Let me go ahead and move my webcam over, just so that I'm not in a corner here. Hey there. I'm back. So that's what we're doing. We've got I've got the Penumbrist here. This is once again back in the Word document level. I'm going to need to lay this thing back out. Fortunately, the layout for this document is pretty straightforward. So the Penumbrist needs work, and frankly, it's a complicated class. I think, a little while back, I did a Secrets of Eventide where I talked about some of the problems of the class and what was working and what wasn't working. I've been thinking about it long and hard. I know some of the areas where I think it's not kind of coming together the right way. And we're going to play around with it here today. We're going to see what we can fix. So I don't necessarily want to mess with any of this intro stuff, intro text and key ability or hit points. Even initial proficiencies right now can kind of stay the way they are. I think, and obviously I don't want to touch any of this stuff. I want to go straight down here to class features and start looking at some of this stuff. So ancestry background, yeah, this is all the same. Initial proficiencies, no problems there. Occult spellcasting, yeah, I'm not changing that. Heightening spells and cantrips, that's all normal. Then we start getting into the meat of the class. It's features that are unique to itself. So Blessed by Shadow gives you low light vision. If you already have low light vision, you gain dark vision. And while you are in dim light, you gain a +2 circumstance bonus on perception checks to notice living creatures that are also in dim light. So this should actually be Seek. Not Notice. Notice is not an action. So, let's see. Let's go ahead and hop down to calling here. Let me make sure I keep this all in center. I'm not sure what parts of this you can see versus what parts you can't. Alright. So the calling grants you umbral spells. These are a type of focus spell. And that's pretty much it. Your calling grants them to you, and this is where you get your focus spells. I don't think we have to change too much about this. Let's get to shadow motes, because this, I think, is the first place where there should be changes. Darkness within you draws motes of shadow whenever you call upon their power. Whenever you cast a spell with the darkness, negative, shade, or shadow trait, motes of shadow swirl around you, granting you power. Whenever you cast an occult spell from the Penumbrist class, motes of shadow swirl around you, granting you power. Each round that you cast or maintain such a spell, the power of these motes grows. After the first round, the motes have a minor strength. This increases to moderate after the second round, and major on the third and subsequent rounds. On any round you do not cast such a spell, cast or maintain such a spell, the power of these motes fades. At the end of your turn, dropping 1 level. Your bond to the shadow and voice grants you various ways to spend these motes. If one of these abilities grants you a bonus, the size of the bonus corresponds to the strength of the motes. Minors give you +1 status bonus. Moderate gives you +2 status bonus. Major gives you +3 status bonus. Whenever you spend your motes, you must spend them. You must spend all of them. And you do not gain motes on any round in which you spend motes. Okay. So, the one thing I noticed from my playtest feedback was the type of spell was so limiting that it oftentimes meant that characters had no motes at all. That was it. They just didn't have any. So that's less good. Okay, first bond. Upon becoming a Penumbrist, you are bonded to Shadow. Its power flowing through you. You gain the Shade trait. Yeah. The Shadow motes are drawn close to you. These motes do not obscure your sight, but as long as you have motes, you are treated as if you are in dim light, granting you the concealed condition to any creature lacking the ability to see in such light. As your location is still obvious, you cannot use these to hide. Use these motes to hide. The shadow has a level equal to half your level. And while it does not counteract any light in the area, light that is of a higher level overrides it, denying you this benefit so long as you remain within its area. Okay, so that's the base ability. When you have motes, you're concealed. Or rather, you're treated as if you were in dim light, making you concealed to anybody who cannot see in dim light. So yeah, dim light means that you're concealed if they do not have dark vision or low light vision or a precise sense other than vision. Okay, so I think that's probably fine. That's what we want. Yeah, you get Penumbrist feats. Congrats. You get skill feats. You get general feats. You get lightning reflexes. You get skill increases. Expert spellcaster at 7th. Second bond at 9th. Whenever you cast a spell with the various traits, some magic seeps into you, healing you a number of hit points equal to the spell's level. Cantrips and focus spells do not restore hit points in this way. I think this one I might keep. Maybe. I might have to revisit this one depending on how I allow you to spend your motes. Because there might be something there that I want to do that changes that up in a way that's kind of interesting. You here. Okay. Weapon expertise resolve. A lot of this stuff is pretty straightforward. Third bond. Shadow flows through your veins in place of blood, and your skin takes on a very pale ashen tone. As a result, you are immune to bleed persistent damage. In addition, the threshold at which you die is increased by 1. When you die, however, you cannot be brought back to life under any circumstances, as your soul is drawn to the plane of shadow, never to return. This is not the plane of shadow. Plane of shadow is not the name of it in my world, though. So let me hop back up and take a look, because that is not what it's called. Where did I put that? Around here. GM's library? It might be there. Now, where did I put it? I know I had the diagram in here somewhere. Was it in art? Might have been in art. Oh, it's in map. That's right. So there is actually a plane of shadow, and a plane of vibrance, an astral plane, and an ethereal plane. Those are all open concepts. I think I can keep that. All right, we'll stick with plane of shadow for now. No worries if you're latecomers. We're playing around with the Penumbrist class here today. And Occult Shadow Master just gives you 10th level spells. Okay, so it's pretty thin, but for a spellcaster that's pretty normal. We've changed motes to now be every time you cast an occult spell. Tightened up a few bits of language here and there. Okay. So let's look at these voices, because I feel like this is the first place where there's a serious disconnect. So each one gives you a spell, a feat, 2 things that you are trained in, and a mode ability. So your voice gives you a huge chunk of your class, right? Let me go back up and look at skills. Is that too much? Is 2 too much? Might be. Skills is 2 plus int modifier. This is an int class. So you're getting 2 plus int plus 3 other skills. We're going to bring that down to 1. It's too many. Because basically you were getting 5 plus int. That makes this a shockingly skilly class for an int class. So we're going to take that down to 1. One of those things to consider. When designing a class with int as its key ability, we usually go light on skills, just because otherwise you end up with all the skills. Or very close to it. It doesn't work very well. Unintended side effect of the game. And its engine. So that means in each one of these I'm going to have to cut down to 1 skill. And what I can do is make it an either or. So we make it an either or. And if I go back up here to skills, trained in 1 of 2 skills from your calling. And that's all cleaned up now. So the Jester here, we'll deal with the feat and the spell here in a bit. But you do gain a moat ability. You can spend your moats before you make a will saving throw, or an acrobatics or performance skill check to gain a status bonus on the check equal to the level of your moat. So remember, this is a 1, 2, or 3. And I think all of them work this way. That each one gives you a save plus some sort of skill check. Boy. Huh. So, the heart of the problem here is that 2 of these, performance and diplomacy, not necessarily combat skills. Which means you're not really going to have moats to spend them on. Stealth is a maybe, right? Athletics, sure. Acrobatics, maybe. The saves make perfect sense. They basically say in the middle of a fight, if you're called upon to make a save, you can burn your moats on that. But I feel like they need some sort of more active usage. Let me look at dark humor. So I'm just looking at the jester here. You gain the dark humor Penumbrist feat. Dark humor, free action. Prerequisite jester calling. You begin telling an infuriating, embarrassing joke about one creature that turns into a spell. If your next action is to cast a spell that has 1 or more targets, you can make a performance skill check to demoralize. To 1 target of that spell as if you were using Intimidate skill check. If the check succeeds, the frightened condition applies before any saving throw or attack roll is made. If the check fails, the target gets a +2 bonus to AC or on any attack roll made by the spell or any saving throw made against the spell. Feats that modify the effects of your demoralized checks do not apply to this attempt. So this is a meta magic feat. And I'm trying to see if I need to... No, I don't. Okay. Yeah. We definitely have the concentrate trait. So, and then the other ones are Lash Out and Walk in Shadows. Okay, let's take a look at those. Lash Out. A creature that is within 10 feet of you critically succeeds on a strike against you. A tendril of shadow emerges from you and lashes out at the foe that hit you. Make an unarmed strike against the triggering creature with a reach of 10 feet. This attack deals 1d6 negative damage plus your intelligence modifier. If the attack is a critical hit, the target is also enfeebled 1 for 1 minute. Okay, that's good. And then there is Walk in Shadow. You are in an area of dim light. Moving through the shadow, you glide like liquid past foes and obstacles. You may make a single stride action moving up to your speed. If you spend the entire time in an area of dim light, you ignore difficult terrain, treat greater difficult terrain as only difficult terrain, and do not trigger reactions from your movement. If for any reason your movement enters the area of bright light or darkness, you immediately stop and lose any remaining movement for that action. So... So I'll tell you what, there's part of me that wants to make these feats burn moats. And maybe even get better, depending on how many moats you have to burn. Maybe. Maybe. So, yeah, Dark Humor could give you a bonus on the check. So here's the thing. Dark Humor is about making a performance skill check to demoralize a target. So, boy, I really kind of do want it to be both skills, don't I? I guess, yeah, that's the tough part right now, because not all of these are going to be skill-based. Right now, the first one is. So there's a bunch of kind of asymmetrical design happening. So that's kind of where I'm running into a problem. The Penumbrist has a feat that directly allows them to use their motes. It plays into their spell casting. It works pretty well. Yeah, you've caught on to it. If I make it acrobatics or performance, then the feat isn't necessarily as good. Because you may not be good at performance. Which would then make the feat worthless. So it's kind of like saying you have to take it. Lash Out doesn't use Intimidate at all. Or Athletics, right? Doesn't use either one of those. And Walk in Shadow does not use Diplomacy or Stealth. So maybe the answer here is that it is 1. Just to make it cleaner. Let me play around with this. So I'm going to go back here. You are trained in 1 skill from your calling. Sorry, that was up a bit above where you could see. Trained in 1 skill from your calling. I now have the skills down here. So okay. So if I come down here to Dark Humor. So I'm thinking this probably wants to... I mean, I could make it force you to spend your motes, or it could just be a choice. So if the check succeeds, the frightened condition applies before any saving throw or attack roll is made. I want to check a thing. Hold on. Okay. So, okay. So, here's what I want this to do. You begin telling an infuriating or embarrassing joke about one creature that turns into a spell. Great. If your next action... if the next action you use is to cast a spell... So, if your next action is to... You can clean that up. None of my players are min-maxers, really. I mean, I have some people who think they're min-maxers, but they're not min-maxers. Not like I'm not playing with any members of the rules team who would break the hell out of anything given the chance. No, I'm playing with, you know, publishers and marketers and, you know, other folks who don't think like that. So, okay, if your next action is to cast a spell that has one or more targets, you can make a performance skill check to demoralize one target of that spell as if you were using the Intimidate skill check. If the check succeeds, the frightened condition applies before any saving throw or attack roll is made. If the check fails, the target takes a +2 circumstance. So, okay, yeah, if the check fails, there is a blowback on this. Not sure that that's worth it. That seems kind of bad. If it fails, you just wasted your... Huh. Alright, why didn't you turn back into a symbol? Let me double check. Okay, you leave me no choice. Going to cheat. So I'm standardizing this into one action. Because meta magic feats should be one action. And if I do that, I'm going to take this out. So, right now, the way this works is not specifically better than just making an Intimidate check, but it allows you to do performance to do it. However, if the check a critical success and you spent three check a thing here. Three shadow motes on the performance check. The target and the target flees. Is that how that works? Let me check. Make sure I got my verbiage right here. The target gains fleeing? Fleeing the condition name? Yeah. Okay. So that's the big perk. If you get it up to 3 motes, And that, I think, is the key to each one of these. If you burn 3 motes on the check, you get something good. So I like Dark Humor. Makes sense with Jester. Snarl has Intimidate, though, which wants to do the same thing. Intimidating people. Whereas Jester is about making fun of people. Maybe I'm going the wrong direction. If the check is a critical success and you spend 3 shadow motes on the performance check, maybe the target just becomes focused on you and takes a penalty on attacking anyone else but you for 1 round. But it's already frightened. So, Bon Mot isn't a bad idea. Yeah, Bon Mot isn't terrible. So Bon Mot is a feat from Advanced Player's Guide that says you launch an insightful quip at a foe, distracting them. Choose a foe within 30 feet and roll a diplomacy check against the target's will DC. On a success, the target is distracted and takes a -3. Or on a success, the target is distracted, takes a -2 status penalty on perception and will saves for 1 minute. The target can end the effect early with a retort to your Bon Mot. This can either be a single action that has the concentrate trait, or an appropriate skill action to frame their retort. The GM determines which skill actions qualify, though they must take at least 1 action. Typically, the retort needs to use a linguistic charisma-based skill action. On a critical success, it's a -3 status penalty. And on a critical failure, your quip is atrocious. You take the same penalty the enemy would take had you succeeded. This ends after 1 minute, or you issue another Bon Mot and succeed. So, basically, you can give them a penalty on perception checks and will saves. You can make a performance check against 1 target of the spell against the will DC of 1 target of that spell. If the check succeeds, target the penalty, status penalty, it's AC, and on any save made, I have an idea. Let me think here. There we go. And then I can get rid of all this, because all the rest of this is no good. Okay, so here's what it does. Dark humor. You have one or more shadow motes. You begin telling an infuriating or embarrassing joke about one creature that turns into a spell. Spend all of your shadow motes. If your next action is to cast a spell that has one or more targets, you can make a performance check against the will DC of one target of that spell. If the check succeeds, the target takes a status penalty equal to your mote bonus to its AC against any attack made by the spell and on any saving throw made to resist its effects. That might be it. Do I phrase that as bonus? Under motes. Okay. If one of these abilities grants you a bonus, the size of the bonus corresponds to the strength of the motes. Okay. So I think that works. Equal to your mote bonus. Yep. Alright. Status penalty equal to your mote bonus. That makes sense. I can make that cleaner by coming back up here to motes. If one of these ability grants a bonus or confers a penalty, size of the bonus or penalty corresponds to the strength of the bonus product. Okay. Perfect. Okay. That's great. Now the question is, what do I do with the other ones? And I think I now know. So... see where I'm going with this now. Lash out. Requirement. You have one or more shadow motes. Trigger. A creature that is within 10 feet of you succeeds on a strike against you. A tendril of shadow emerges from you and lashes out at the foe that hit you. Make an unarmed strike against the triggering creature with a reach of 10 feet. This attack deals 1d6 negative damage plus your intelligent modifier. If attack is a hit, you may also make an intimidate check to demoralize foe. With a bonus status bonus from your spent shadow motes. Doesn't do the enfeeble thing anymore. Now what it does is it allows you to make an attack. And if you hit, you can also make an intimidate skill check to demoralize the foe with a status bonus from your spent shadow motes. Maybe. Let me double check a thing. Let me double check a thing. So, currently it's an unarmed attack. But this is a spellcaster. That's interesting. Maybe that is the way it should go. It should be a... Make a spell attack roll against the triggering creature with a reach of 10 feet. So that's a non-standard construction right now. So it should be make a spell make an attack roll against the triggering creature or spell attack modifier. Tendril has a reach of 10 feet. Would be nice if I spelled tendril correctly. This attack deals... So it was a reach of 10 feet and deals... I can shorten that. And deals 1d6 negative damage plus your intelligence modifier. If the attack is a success, you may also make an intimidate skill check to demoralize the target with a status bonus from your spent shadow mode. That's pretty good. That's not bad. That might want to scale the damage. The damage is pretty limited right now. Like, Dark Humor is always going to be good, but the damage on this is not going to keep up. But boy, feats like this really don't want to scale up, do they? And I don't want it to deal damage equal to the number of shadow motes you spent, because that's likely too much. You don't want it to be doing like 3d6 or something first level. Yeah, I guess the demoralize is kind of what you're trying to go for there, because it's setting them up for being in a bad space the next time it's your turn. Okay, well we'll hold it at that for now. We'll see where that goes. Okay. That's Lash Out. That's a reaction. Let's take a look here at Walk in Shadow. Go ahead and copy this down as well. Spend your shadow motes. Lash Out should say... Spend your shadow motes. Okay. Yeah, the damage is just a perk there. And I can always make it more... I can make each one of these more powerful later with a feat to make it more of a signature ability. I'd rather have a good base, right? So, Spend your shadow motes. You may make a single stride action moving up to your speed. You spend the entire action in areas in an area of dim light. You ignore difficult terrain. Treat greater difficult terrain as only difficult terrain, and do not trigger reactions from your movement. If for any reason your movement enters an area of bright light or darkness, you immediately stop and lose any remaining movement. The rest of this is all unnecessary. So, the bonus here, the other ones have a skill thing. This has a stealth thing. So I'm almost thinking the end of this movement, you may make a stealth check to hide. With a so I'm not sure this is good enough. If for any reason your movement enters an area of bright light, I'm going to leave darkness out. That's better. So it's one action, burn your motes. So I don't need these, technically. So you may make a single stride action moving up to your speed. If you spend the entire action in an area of dim light or darkness, you ignore to clear. If you spend the entire action in an area of dim light or darkness, you ignore difficult terrain, blah, 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 blah. If for any reason your movement enters an area of bright light, you immediately stop and lose any remaining movement. At the end of this movement, you may make a stealth check to hide with a status bonus from your spent shadow motes. So, hold on here. Stealth. Let me double check that this works. Yeah, hide is moving, so I think the key here is that you can make a stealth check to hide with a status bonus for your spent motes. You still have to be in an area. Yeah, you still have to end, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I needed that. If you have cover at the end of this movement, if you have cover concealment from a foe, you may make a stealth check to hide with a status bonus equal to. Okay. There we go. So, here's the thing, folks. I think... Yeah, no, it's complicated. So, here, let me just say this. Let me go ahead and put this away and bring this over here. So, developing this stuff is hard, as it turns out. I had some ideas for this, but I just started playing with it and working out the implementation. I have kind of an innate sense for what feels clunky, what feels broken, what doesn't feel like it's going to fit. You saw a lot of that here today. And I'm looking at the clock and I'm like, wow, an hour flies by. I forget how long development works. What did we do? We fixed the modability and we worked on the prime feat loadout for each one of the calling. That took an hour. That's how that works. And I'm still not done, because I still have to go and look at the spells, the focus spells, and figure out how those are going to work. Maybe we'll do that next week. Or maybe I'll try and get it done between now and then. Who knows? But in either case, I hope this was a fascinating and informative look behind the picture as to how development works on these sorts of things. You play around with it, you monkey with it, you try and do different things, you see what feels right. These feel better now. They certainly feel more powerful. Which is good, because I've seen them get very little use at my tables. Now, I only have one Penumbrist, and he's been absent a couple times, so that might be it. But those feats are really key and really critical, so I do want to make sure I get them right. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Did I save this as the right version? Yes, that's it. Okay. Perfect. Alright, folks, that's all I have today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support. I'll let you guys know, you folks know what I'm thinking about here in the near future. I may pause billing for a month, just because I'm so swamped I can't provide all the services I'd like to be able to provide. But I am going to keep working. So, we'll see. I haven't made any decisions yet. It may not be this month. It may be next month. I don't know. We'll see. But, folks, I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for your ongoing support. Folks, I'm hoping to get this to you soon. I want all of you to have it to play with. So some of these things may come out sooner rather than later. Alright, folks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out. We'll see many of you here in just a few minutes. See you next time.